Good evening, Happy New Year. Welcome to 2024. My name is David Okon. My channel is one here, and we are talking about the cost of living crisis, but we are actually looking at the financial assistance in the United Kingdom. And finance, in terms of the cost of living, means income, which is from work, from the work is and somebody who is employed or employee or worker. You also earn a living as in terms of income, which is a form of money which you get from work. You also, if you're a small and medium business, you are self-employed and you get income from there, which is also a form of finance. And you also, if you are an investor or entrepreneur, which is normally refers to multimillionaires and multimillionaires who actually are in the United Kingdom. Now, if you are watching this video for the first time, subscribe to this channel to support it. Thank you so much, everybody who has been watching this video and also making comment, who are sharing and clicking notification bell, clicking like, supporting this process. We have been engaging in a lot of important discussion, and I would like to say to everyone watching this, and for people who might not be watching it now, who might in the future be watching it, I really appreciate your participation. This is really a wonderful thing you're doing. You're contributing positively to life. You're contributing positively to society. You are a valued member of society. You are a valued member of this channel. And social media is important to bring changes, also to help us as humans identify problems and solve it. Life, if you value your life, whether you value your life or not, is full of challenges, is full of problems, which we ourselves create because we have limitations. We have cultural limits. We still fight on the streets. We fight in Ukraine. We fight wars in Israel. We fight in Africa. We fight our wives. We fight our husbands. Children fight their parents. So we are work in progress as people. We are learning, which is a good thing. We are, which is a sign of hope. Because if we have a problem, we know we have a problem. We accept that we are limited in our capacities as humans. That's why we face challenges, sicknesses, famine. Around the world, people are dying. Death still controls us. We are not actually masters of our destinies in terms of immortality. We as human species still die. So we are actually responsible for our destiny as a species. And that's why I'm passionate about this program. We are 1 year old. We started last December. The December before, actually in 2023, and 2022, actually we started in 2022, 2023 December, we were a year old. We are into 2024 now, and I've been discussing mainly the cost of living crisis, because the cost of living crisis is a symptom of society, especially it's a symptom of what we humanity have become, or our statuses as species. Normally, symptoms such as the cost of living crisis are actually signs that there are actually challenges within our human family. The cost of living crisis is particularly created by the government. If you live in the UK, it's best to understand whether you're a young person, you are an adult, and male or female, whoever you are. It is so essential for you to understand what the government is doing. The government has been responsible in the United Kingdom and any government across the globe, in Europe, in America, Africa, Asia. Governments have behaved in a certain way. So they are being responsible for running our countries. They took the land away from the British people in Britain. The British government took away land, and it is still keeping some of the land, and it is selling off some of the land to the super rich, with the assumption that the super rich will look after the people of Britain. Because you see, it is the responsibility of the British people to know the value of land in terms of development. But it is also important for British people to know the value of their life as a format of cultural estate. This cultural estate I speak about, combined with development, is the recipe for stability. It's a recipe for peace and actually happiness. If you're sad because you have no peace, and there is no peace for the wicked. If we do the right thing, we achieve peace. If we do the wrong thing, we achieve treachery. We are responsible as humans. We need to take responsibility. The government now is telling us to take responsibility for our lives. That may or may not be a good thing. If the government is serious about giving back our country, then it will start by giving land to us so that we can grow our own food, so that we can build our own houses. We are actually born to create. The people of Britain have created the wealth of Britain, but he created under the supervision of the government. The people of Britain, the same British people, can do the same thing they're doing now, but they do it independent of the government as free people. So the government arguing to give back our country. I live in Britain. I'm an African, but I live in Britain. I've lived in Britain here for so long. It's now my home. It shouldn't have been my home because my home is in Africa. When the British people are resentful that foreigners are actually coming into their country, they are right, because this is their country. But you see, it is the Britain is our country. Britain is in the world is our world. As people of the world, as people of Britain, it's our country. I say our because I live in Britain now. And the government should not take it away from us. You see, we did not give permission to the British government to take our country away from us. And this situation exists in the United Kingdom, but it also exists across the globe. The government across the globe has taken away the world, has taken away the land, has taken away factors of development on the one hand, but also is taking over control of society culturally. We learn English across the globe. We learn different languages in schools created by the government, by the state. And we liked it because he made us comfortable. So the government created educational system for the British people. And this is a story across the globe in Europe and also in Asia, America, and Africa. It created school system. It created educational system. It created the healthcare system. It also created a system of employment, of income, of finance. And the main topic I'm talking about today is finance. Financial assistance given to the British people because, or maybe in spite of the cost of living crisis, because financial assistance was there before the crisis of the cost of living. The cost of living crisis is the same with COVID-19 as a crisis, with Brexit as a crisis, with the financial crash of 2007 and 2008 as a crisis. These are all crises, and they are signs. They affect the way we live, including our finances. But more than our finances, it creates a problem for our livelihood, our educational system, our economy, our healthcare, our defense system, our security system, food security, energy security, water supply, housing. You name it, the government runs these institutions on our behalf. And therefore, because the government has been doing this for many years, we went to sleep. The British people went to sleep. The British people are humans. Every human, whether you are British or American or European or African, every single human being is a creator. We create wealth. We make things. We create technology. We invent technology. We are medicine men and women. We are supposed to provide healthcare system for ourselves, independent of the government. But for some historical accident, the government took over to run not just the United Kingdom, but the countries across the globe. That's why, at the beginning, if you have watched the rest of my video, I've consistently said, if you listen to what takes place in the United Kingdom, whether through this channel or through other channels, if you watch what happens in the United Kingdom, pay close attention, because the United Kingdom is a very important country. It leads the globe in different ways. Technology, science, artificial intelligence, 3D printer, nanotechnology, all these, robotics. We live in exciting times in terms of development. And so, because of globalization and harmonization, what happens in Britain happens across the globe. And the logic of this information is that we have the right to participate, to look after our lives. We have no right or responsibilities to depend on the state. The state should not make the British people depend on the state. The government have said it, especially the Conservative Party, have said the British people should stop depending on the state. Therefore, when we talk about welfare state, which actually was created by the United Kingdom government, the welfare state, which include welfare benefits, which include financing, through employment, the government creating employment, and setting policies such as the minimum national minimum wage or living wages. All these policies are assigned the government to supervise Britain, and the British people are become accustomed for the government to create jobs. And if the government do not create jobs, the people of Britain complain because they have turned job creation by the government as their human right. And in many ways, the British people are right, because the government voluntarily took over the country and promised to the British people that it is going to create jobs, that it is going to provide welfare, that it is going to give welfare benefits, which is benefit I'm going to speak to shortly today. Because if you watch the rest of my video, I've been speaking about different things. I'll be repeating some of the points going right now, from now going forward. If you are a human being, you have a responsibility to look after yourself, unless the government is looking after yourself. But the message of this video is that the things have changed. We, for decades, have actually relied on the British government in Britain And also Europeans, American, African, Asian have relied on in respective countries on respective governments to provide a livelihood to run the countries. This is changing. Privatization of every economy, especially in Britain, is a message and also a government action to declare that the British government is no longer interested in looking after anyone in this country. The Conservative Party in the United Kingdom have repeatedly said they don't want to provide a nanny state. Nanny means somebody who look after children. The British government is not our nanny, and we are not the British government's children. That message is clear, and the policy to follow this idea is actually visible. And the cost of living crisis is created because of privatization. It's a message. The cost of living as a crisis is a message that the government is shutting down. And if the government shut down, it means the British people are now on their own, which is a good thing. But it's going to be tough. But the British people should be happy. And the people of the world should be happy because they are going to achieve their independence. They are going to access power, human resources, culturally and in terms of development. People have the opportunity now to unite, to live together as family, as friends. We are no longer strangers. That is an opportunity provided by the cost of living crisis for us to alert us, to wake us from our sleeps. That we are humans. This is our country in Britain. This is our world around the world. Whether we are in Europe or elsewhere, whether in Britain or outside Britain. We, in every respective country, living as sovereign state, but also in partnership with the rest of the world, with one another, so that we unite as one global communities under a system called globalization. Every individual living in the United Kingdom should prepare for globalization, which is the world's coming together to live together, which is a good thing. Let us put forward an argument for humanity in the process of forming the system of globalization, which is actually in its final stages, is coming soon. Let us prepare. The cost of living crisis and all the other crises, the wars we see are sign of the times. We have to prepare. I am going to talk about the specifics in the United Kingdom, but if you live outside the United Kingdom, pay close attention and listen to what happened in the United Kingdom, because it is similar to what is happening in your country in terms of the help given by the government, which help is now closing down. But it is still there, so do your best to get it, but also use this help to strengthen yourself, to strengthen your family, to strengthen your community, to build partnership across the globe, so that people can now begin to gain their independence from the state. That is why the governments across the globe are now shutting down, so that to release the British people, to release the citizens of the world to be independent of the state. And this message I will be repeating because it's extremely important. Leave a comment below if you agree with it. Leave a comment below if you disagree with it. Do your own research. You have responsibility for your life. If your life matters, then this message is actually emphasizing you are responsible, whether you are a child, whether you are an adult, whether you are a youth. If you think you are not, leave a comment below. If you think somebody else is responsible for your life, leave a comment below. There is benefit. There is benefit. The main benefit, if you watch the rest of my video, I've been talking about universal credit in the United Kingdom, which is a form of benefit. It's a form of financial assistance if you don't work for a living. Or if you work for a living, you are on low income. Then you are entitled to, you are actually eligible, you could be entitled to universal credit. Get this help from the government, from the Department of Work and Pension. Go online, visit gov.uk. If you don't know how to use the internet, go to a friend or a family. If you're a parent, go to young people, your children. Young people are good at computers. If you cannot go to public library and tell them you don't know how to use a computer, but you want to find information about benefit, you find a telephone number for your local department for work and pension, and claim all the different benefits. The main one is called universal credit. I'm still talking about universal credit at the moment, but I will be talking about sickness benefits. I'll be talking about not only benefit but also housing, employment, and all the factors, because all these relate to finance, welfare, and the court. I'll be talking about this going forward, and I'll actually touch on this in the other videos. Watch this video and watch the other video. Thank you so much for to everybody who have subscribed. And subscribe if you haven't subscribed. We need to grow so that we become a stronger space. I'm excited about this. Welcome again to 2024. Do your best. You are the best. We have not conquered death, but we are humans. We don't walk away quietly. We walk and speak truth to power. Power we know, like government, and power we don't know. Perhaps like aliens. Because there could be aliens. There could be other forces out there. But we are actually owners of the earth, and we are here to stay. We cannot walk away quietly. There have been a lot of disturbances on the earth. There have been wars fought. There have been lack of peace. There have been pain. But we have the opportunity to take up the instruments of development and of culture to come together and to start running our life as individuals, as families, as members of society, locally, nationally, and globally. I believe we can do this. And so, leave a comment below and let me know what you're thinking. And I'm going to branch off and talk specifically in the United Kingdom and about the system of help given by the United Kingdom government. And we are been looking at universal credit, which is the main benefit, which is means tested. And if you live in the United Kingdom, it is so important to claim this benefit. Some of these benefits, especially universal credit, are actually, sometimes they are backdated, and sometimes they are actually paid in one way or the other. I have been talking about it in the other videos. So I'll be continuing from where I left. And when we look at universal credit, we said it was actually the biggest. It's the biggest benefit system in the United Kingdom. And there are other forms of benefit, but I will talk about universal credit, which is the most important benefit in the United Kingdom. And every other benefit is being shut down and transferred into the universal credit. And there is something within the transference from legacy benefit into universal credit. These terms I am using, if you don't know what they are, watch the other videos or visit government website or organization like Citizen Advice, because I have actually talked about it. This video is a continuation. So if you want to know anything about universal credit, leave a comment below and ask specifically and whether you want as a study, as a knowledge, or you looking for benefit. You don't need to look for benefit because universal credit is a government policy. It actually informs you about many things, not just about benefit. It tells you that the government is closing down. I have analyzed this in the videos, and appreciate if the people who have been watching this video or people who haven't been watching this video can find out what the government is doing. The reason I'm talking about welfare because it explains best of all what we need to know about the government, what we need to know about what we are supposed to do, what the government is doing, such as I said in the introduction. So going back to universal credit, and thank you so much for attending, for watching, and I hope you come again because I will be recording more and explaining more. But if you don't understand anything I am saying, then go and leave a comment below and let us keep the conversation going. So we have the Department of Work and Pension. In other words, we have the government of the United Kingdom, which is now is shutting down all the means tested benefits, replacing them with universal credit, which is the biggest single change in a decade within the Department for Work and Pension, which is now a situation faced by claimants and non-claimants, where the one benefit now being claimed is going to be universal credit. There are many changes. I have actually outlined most of them already in the other video. If you need to know more, leave a comment below, but I will be repeating these messages going forward. Some of the details right now, I want to concentrate on the process of moving from legacy benefit to universal credit. There is something called assessment period in universal credit. So you need to know that you need to claim universal credit, and within the outlook of assessment period, you can actually claim universal credit, and your claim can be backdated. And I've already mentioned this in the other videos. Take a look at the other videos. Your claim can be backdated, which means you get paid either normally up to a full month, and you are going to get a partial payment if your claim is backdated for less than a month, say 2 weeks, and if you have got grounds to backdate your claim for 2 weeks, the date of entitlement will go back 2 weeks. So in terms of backdating, your claim can be increased or decreased. So the DWP can increase or decrease the length of the assessment period if the claim has been backdated. So in terms of the assessment period, if you make a claim and you became entitled to the universal credit for the first time, and you became entitled to the universal credit, say for example, on the 7th of March, your assessment period is from the 7th of March to the 6th of April. This is how the system works, for example. So it stays the same. If you have even if you have actually successfully backdated your claim of universal credit with the DWP, and if the DWP have decided that your claim, for example, began on the 1st of March. So, example of assessment period would relate to when you made your claim or when you have actually updated your claim. For example, your claim, if your claim is backdated, and your assessment period dates could be the date of your claim. It could also be the same date each month as the date of your claim, if it is backdated to when the claim, your claim has been backdated, or actually it could be the last day of the month in which your claim is backdated to. And if you claim on, say, for example, on the 31st of any month, or the 29th or the 30th of the month, and your claim is backdated to that time, if you claim on the 29th or on the 30th of a month, then this would actually reflect your assessment period. If your claim on, for example, on the 20th February, the 20th, the 27th, or the February the 28th, in a leap year, these are actually some of the information which are fairly complicated, but it's worth really paying attention to, so that you know your assessment period, when your benefits, assessment period simply means when your benefit starts and stops. If you claim in, because you see, universal credit is paid every month. So if you claim on a date and you count 1 month, in most normal times, the date you have actually claimed, that is your assessment period, and always is paid monthly. Normally, if you're claiming universal credit and you want to backdate your claim, you contact the DWP, the Department for Work and Pension, and these numbers can be found online on the government website or on other charity organizations such as Citizen Advice. You can always find a time to call and you can speak to them. So these calls are actually free on landlines and mobile lines in most cases. Now, when I say you, it means either you are actually trying to claim for yourself or for someone else. If there are conditions, if you're applying for yourself or claiming for yourself or somebody else, and if you watch the rest of the video or actually visit the website or the government website in the United Kingdom or other organization, or you actually visit the Department of Work and Pension at the job center to speak to somebody there at the reception, or go to the local authority, because they can also give you information about benefits from your local council. So you can always do that, and it's challenging to get benefit from the government now, like I have said, but nothing is actually easy. If you are struggling or somebody you know is struggling, then do your best to get help. But also, even if you are not interested in benefit, if you have free time, do a study on how the benefit system work in the United Kingdom, even if you are outside the United Kingdom, so that you understand how government policy works. Because this is actually a fundamental part of society. And like I said in the opening, it is our responsibility, it's your responsibility to look after yourself, since the government is now closing down, and I don't know when the government will be closing down. Many changes are coming with income, with finance, money, also cash is actually being withdrawn. I think now in the United Kingdom, we have only 30% of cash in circulation. There's going to be digital currency. All these are actually going to impact the way your finances work. It's going to impact how banks, actually you relate with the banks will have more control over your money. And it's all the more reason why you should now start thinking of even creating your bank as a family, as an individual. Create your banking system. Use computer. Be an expert on computer. Be a digital expert, because you are free. You should be independent of the banks. You should be independent of the government, especially if you work together as family and members of community. Start thinking away from the government, including governments which are actually private businesses, corporations, which are actually corporate governments, which are banks, which are now controlling your finances. You should be controlling your own finances. You should be now owning your own bank, creating your own technology. Everything the government now creates, either directly or indirectly through big corporation, private businesses. You should be now being able to build your own computer, create your own computer, be your own doctor. In the past, before the government ruled over the world, people used to be medicine men and women. We used to use herbs across the globe, and we were okay. We used to grow our own food. Our food was healthy. We own our own land. We are now going back to basics. And I think that is a good thing, so that we take responsibility for our lives in every sector. So this video is actually a contributor. We may not provide everything you need, but it's actually there to create awareness, to actually produce a consciousness about what is happening in the world, in the United Kingdom and across the globe. So I have already, like I said, spoken immensely about universal credit, moving to universal credit from legacy benefits. These concepts are actually available in the other videos which are produced. If you are interested, then you can actually watch the other video. If you are interested, you can also leave a comment below, and so that I can do a video on how, when you're moving from to universal credit from legacy benefit, because universal credit is now replacing 6 benefits called legacy benefit. These are 6 different benefits: housing benefit, income related employment and support allowance, ESA, income based job seekers allowance, JSA, and child tax credit, CTC, working tax credit, WTC, income support. All these are examples of legacy benefit which are now being replaced by universal credit. You cannot usually make a new claim for these benefits. I have already mentioned this information elsewhere. You can actually watch the other videos. If you already got one of these benefits, you will have to come onto universal credit before 2029. This actually, I'm repeating the same point, which is very interesting, important. You can stay on this benefit for now, unless you get a letter from the Department for Work and Pension and the DWP, and which actually is asking you to claim universal credit by a certain date. And if your situation changes in a certain ways also, you can actually be necessitated to move into universal credit. For example, if you are claiming, if you need to claim, you might need to claim universal credit if you are separated from a partner. Say you are divorced from your wife, or move to a different council area. We live in councils, in sometimes called borough in the United Kingdom. If you move from one place to another and you're on benefit, or you need to claim benefit, you're going to have to claim a universal credit if you are on legacy benefit. If you have heard a letter telling you to claim universal credit, then it depends on what situation you face, and you will have to understand what you have to do, which also depends on what the letter says from the DWP. If the letter gives you a deadline for you to claim universal credit, it's a migration notice. So we have spoken about this already, and if you watch the other videos, we talked about migration notice. They are very important indeed. If you are interested or if you're on low income, if you work for living, because it is important to understand these things in advance. Yeah, given jobs are now, especially if you are actually working in the middle class as in a technical field, technology is now taking work in retail sector, banking, hospitality, including travels. If you work with the airline company, most likely people are losing their jobs. If you lose your jobs, there's nothing wrong with you. The only thing changing is actually that technology is taking jobs away. So do not ignore benefits, because it can still help you to avoid homelessness. But if we look at benefits generally, in the other videos, we saw that the government do not actually pay if you are actually on a mortgage. In the United Kingdom, mortgage means you are borrowing money in the United Kingdom to buy your home. However, the benefit are still used. The government can pay you benefit to pay interest on your mortgage. If that helps, then anticipate to get such a help. So doing a bit of homework here, a bit of homework there might help in the very long term. So the DWP normally send a letter, but if it doesn't actually, if your letter, if the DWP send you a letter, it doesn't have a deadline, then it means you don't have to claim universal credit unless you want to. You have the option to stay on legacy benefit. If you're already on legacy benefit, if you have not, even if you have got a letter from the DWP but there is no deadline, then you are not obligated to claim to move to the universal credit. You're not necessarily, you don't have to migrate from legacy benefit to universal credit. Even if the letter says you will have to claim universal credit in the future. This is actually a notice, but if they have given a definite date, it's actually an obligation for you to actually claim universal credit, because if your legacy benefit expires and you haven't claimed universal credit, you could lose benefit, you could be left without any source of income. So you won't be able to go back to your old benefit after you claim universal credit. So if you have claimed universal credit, if you're already on universal credit, you cannot go back to legacy benefit. This is good information which actually you can pay attention to, even if you are not on benefit, even if you are actually, because if you think about universal credit, especially means tested benefit, if you have a saving of 16,000 and below, you can actually claim benefit. It will help you with rent and other things. Can help you with many things. Can be passport to other help, such as grants from the local authorities if you are in rent arrears, if you are council tax arrears, if you are in debt with energy company or with water company. We have discussed this in the other videos. I will be repeating these points because they are very important. So check if you'll be better off on universal credit before you claim it. There is you can go online and do a better off calculation. I have also discussed that already on one of my videos. You go online and actually type entitled to or turn to us or some other source of benefit calculation. You can get help from the local authorities if you need to, or you go to organizations like Citizen Advice or Shelter or some of these other charities. They are always online, and you can go there if you are able to go face to face in the office. Do your best. You can talk to family and friends who may have information. You can go to your local council, which may help you one way or the other. So when you are actually moving from other benefits to universal credit, which is called migration process, also including migration notice, which is the letter you get from the university, from the Department for Work and Pension. But if you decide to claim before you get a notice, before migration notice, then you will not be able to get something called managed migration transitional protection. That is to say, if you claim your universal credit before the notice, before the government asks you to move, if you decide to claim, you will not get that protection. Will explain this protection. I've actually explained this protection in the previous video. Is called transitional protection, manage migration transitional protection. Also, so after, if you claim universal credit after you have had a formal migration notice, then you need to claim within the deadline. And if you have got a migration notice, then you should claim universal credit by the deadline on the letter. Your old benefit will stop after the deadline. If you claim universal credit before the deadline, then the DWP might pay you extra to stop you being worse off. This is called transitional protection. That's the meaning of transitional protection, because if your old benefit will stop after the deadline, you claim, if you're given notice and you by the government to claim on a certain date, then you need to claim within the deadline, and then your old benefits will stop after the deadline has passed. If you claim universal credit before the deadline has stopped, then the DWP might pay you extra to stop you being worse off. This is called transitional protection. We have actually explained this in the previous videos, and you can also go online to look for this information. This means that if you are less, if you would get less on universal credit than your old benefits, you'll get an extra amount to make up the difference. Because sometimes you can get less because your legacy benefit is actually less, and probably if you are actually backdating or something like that, the DWP will reduce the extra amount over time, so you will eventually get what you normally would get on universal credit. Transitional protection also means you might be able to get universal credit when you wouldn't usually be entitled to. For example, if you are in a full-time education, if you're a full-time student who normally, under normal circumstances, might not get universal credit, when you wouldn't usually be entitled to universal credit when you are actually a full-time student. And like I said, you sometimes, which you normally you don't get universal credit when if you're a full-time student, you can usually get it until the end of the course. So under these circumstances, which might be exceptional, you can actually get universal credit as a student until the end of your course. You can also get tax credit and up over 16,000 savings, and you can still get a universal credit up to 1 year. And this actually is relevant because if you have 16,000 and above, normally you don't get universal credit, and tax credit will now become a part of universal credit. So under these circumstances, you can actually benefit. So you are only eligible under managed migration, and in a situation where if you claim universal credit and you your universal credit might end earlier. If your transitional protection ends for another reason, for example, if you separate from your partner, if you can't claim by the migration deadline, if this happen, if the deadline hasn't passed yet, you can ask for the DWP to extend it. You can only ask for this before the original deadline in a letter. If the DWP agree, then they will send you a new deadline. So if you actually don't meet that, you need to negotiate with the DWP to extend the deadline. If the deadline has passed, you can still get transitional protection if you claim universal credit up to a month after the deadline. The end of the month is called the financial, the final deadline. And if you claim after the final deadline, you can still claim universal credit, but you can't get the transitional protection. If you need to help to moving to universal credit, you can actually get help. And the timing is so important. So timing a claim under managed migration is important, and you can actually if your claim as if you have time, before the deadline, you should consider waiting until your legacy benefit entitlement is as high as possible before claiming universal credit. For example, if you could consider waiting until you have reported a change of circumstances or challenge the decision, for example. We have discussed this before in the other video. So this is because you could get more transitional element from the transitional element is a form of universal credit, which involve actually transition, and transitional element from a higher legacy benefit entitlement. It is also because of your standard amount or other elements which would increase after your first assessment period, or your transition element, which might have reduced. And you should only wait if you will still be able to claim by the final deadline. Otherwise, you will lose all the transitional protection. It's a bit complicated, and you can report the change or challenge the decision by the day before your migration day. Your migration day depends on when your claim of universal credit depend on your claim for universal credit. It depends when you claim universal credit, actually. So if you claim before the deadline from the DWP, then your migration day is the day before you claim universal credit, actually. So if you claim after the deadline, your migration day is the day before your deadline. As long as you request a reconsideration or appeal by the day before your migration day, the decision can be backdated. Leave a comment below and let me know what you think about this information. Let us look at tax credit claimants. If you claim tax credit, then if you claim, if actually your claim, if you expect your income to change, your transitional element might be affected by when you report the change to the HMRC, His Majesty's Revenue and Custom Office. And when you claim universal credit, you should get a special help from an expert, because this is a complex area. Normally, this is the guidance you get. So, when transitional protection ends, then the transitional the transitional element ends if it is reduced to zero by other changes of circumstance. If you are only eligible for universal credit through transitional protection, you will stay eligible even if your transitional element is zero. So you have all kind of transitional protection. And this will end if you switch from a joint claim. For example, if you switch from a joint claim to a single claim, or from a single to a joint claim, this is an example. If you or your partner's earnings were above the administrative earnings threshold when you claim universal credit, then this fall below for 3 consecutive months. The administrative earnings threshold since January 2023 is 677. Then this may fall below. This will fall below it for 3 consecutive months. The administrative earnings threshold since January 2023 is 677 for a single claimant and 1,083 for a couple. If you're self-employed, you're treated as having earnings above the threshold if you are subject to the minimum income floor. This includes if you are in a startup period. If you're a student, if you wouldn't otherwise get universal credit, the transitional period protection will also end when your course ends. In terms of tax credit claimants, if you have over 16,000 pounds capital, your transitional protection will also end a year after your universal credit started. A year after your universal credit started, or earlier than a year, if your capital falls below 16,000 pounds. This means that if your capital falls below 16,000 and then rises above 16,000 again, your universal credit claim will stop also. Now, this may sound complicated, but what they're talking about is actually the level of income you have, because these benefits are means tested. So, we have more or less income. This is all they're talking about. Then your protection, your income protection, will actually end. So, in terms of capital, you shouldn't try to reduce your capital to increase your universal credit. Like I said, because they're looking at the level of your income. If it is 16,000 or less, these are the rules. So, because universal credit remains tested, sometimes people actually get rid of their savings or their capital. The DWP would not want to see that. They will get suspicious. And if they think you are actually getting rid of your capital to get benefit. They will describe this state of affair as a deprivation of capital, that you are depriving yourself of capital. You can then find out about this online to get check the details of what it means to be in a situation of is in the state of being depriving yourself of capital, or deprivation of capital, as the DWP would refer to. What they're actually talking about is that you're trying to deprive yourself of capital in order to get benefit. Your action may border on fraud or on some other situation. So if you are actually in a situation to restart transitional protection after your transitional protection ends, in the event thereof, transitional protection normally can't usually restart. You can't start it again, even if your circumstances go back to what they were. For example, if your relationship ends and then restarts, you cannot get transitional protection again. This is because you can't make you will be treated as somebody who is already on universal credit. So transitional protection might restart if your claim ended because your income was too high. So if your income falls low enough to qualify for universal credit within 3 months, you can get transitional protection again. So if you are going to claim universal credit, you will usually get one payment each month, and you usually have to manage your claim online, like I said before. This will usually take 5 weeks to get your first pay of universal credit, but it could take longer. Your old benefit might also stop before your universal credit starts. When they stop, depends on which benefit you get and when you claim universal credit. So we're looking at housing benefit, which are actually elements of universal credit. So if you claim before the deadline from the DWP, tax credit stop the day before you claim universal credit. Housing benefit, income-based job seekers allowance, income-related ESA, and income support stop 2 weeks after you claim universal credit. So these are legacy benefits stopping and for you to access universal credit. If you claim universal credit after the deadline from the DWP, and also if your tax credit stops the day before the deadline from the DWP, your housing benefit, income based job seekers allowance, income related employment support allowance, income support will also stop 2 weeks after the deadline from the DWP. You will only get the extra 2 weeks payment. If you are still eligible for universal credit, you won't need to pay back the extra payments, and they won't affect how much universal credit you will get. If you won't get enough money to live on while you wait for your first universal credit payment, you can ask for an advance payment. The advance payment is a loan. You will have to pay it back. If your situation changes, and if you haven't had an immigration notice, you might still be better off claiming universal credit. If you have had a migration which is from legacy to universal credit, if you haven't had a migration notice, you might really still be better off claiming universal credit. If your work, home, or family situation changes, some changes will earn your benefit claim. So claiming universal credit might be the only way to replace them. You can't claim universal credit if you and your partner, if you have one, both reach state pension age. It's usually best for you to claim pension credit. We have discussed this before. You can check if you can get a pension credit rather than universal credit, because universal credit is for people below the age of pension. If you need help, then with the housing cost, you can claim housing benefit. We have already talked about that. Just going through this, you can usually make a new claim of pension credit or housing benefit if you are over state pension age, but you have a partner under state pension age. You can only make a new claim for pension credit or housing benefit if both the following apply. You or your partner reach state pension age before the 15th of May 2019. You or your partner reach state pension age before the 15th May 2019. You have been claiming housing benefit or pension credit as part of the same couple since before the 15th May 2019. So you can look at things like triggers, which triggers moving onto universal credit. If a change of circumstance means you would need to make a new benefit claim, then you won't be able to claim legacy benefit. Your best option might be to claim universal credit. The same points being repeated. We already mentioned this. So there isn't a complete list of triggers. You can get some information or on more detail on specific triggers on gov.uk. If you separate from your partner, this may also be a trigger. And if you or your partner have a joint claim for working tax credit or child tax credit, your claim will end. And if you and your partner were claiming housing benefit, ESA, JSA, or income support with your partner, check if the benefit are in your name. If it is not, then you may need to take some steps. If the benefit letters are addressed to you, that means the benefit are in your name. If you are not sure, you can check with the DWP. Your contact details will be on any benefit letters you have actually received. If the benefits are in your name, you will keep getting them. If the benefits aren't in your name, it will usually stop. If you are getting JSA and don't have children, the rules about whether or not you can keep getting it are more complicated. You can talk to an advisor or check if your job seekers allowance will stop. If you are actually getting a joint claim, job seekers allowance doesn't have children. If you are actually getting joint claim job seekers allowance and you don't have children, then you might be able to keep getting joint claim job seekers allowance when you separate. The legislation in this area is unclear. If you are in this situation, you can contact expert advice team more information. So thank you for watching this video. We'll continue with universal credit next time, and watch the rest of the video. Thank you so much. Subscribe to this channel to support it. Share with family and friends. Thank you so much. I will see you in the next one. Thank you. Bye bye.